Hi, I'm Buffy.
And I'm Heaven.
And we are
Strippers in the Attic.
So today we've been on this wonderful podcast by Megan Prescott, getting fabulous...
all the exposure.
Yes. And we talked about the good, the bad, and the ugly of striptease and a lot of other stuff, which if we mentioned now might get her shadow banned. So just listen if you want to hear everything that you never knew you might want to know. And then afterwards, you're wondering if you really want that in your mind. Enjoy.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the podcast, Heaven and Buffy.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here.
It's very nice to have you.
It feels very professional.
It does. I love being in a professional recording
really
studio. Yeah.
This is the most professional I've ever done it. Most of the time it's been me on my phone ranting into an abyss.
I mean, it's got its own kind of professionalism.
Yeah. I mean, some people listen.
Lots of people listen.
So I haven't done this, but I normally start each episode by saying a line which may one day get me sued, but until then, I'm going to keep saying it.
Great.
Yeah.
So I'm Megan fucking Prescott. Who the fuck are you?
Oh, I like it.
Tell me a little bit about yourselves.
Okay, you go.
So I am, obviously I'm not going to give my real name because on our podcast, we are actually completely anonymous and we go by...
Wait, Heaven's not your real name?
I mean, it should be.
It should be. I might change it by default, yeah.
You give yourself your own last name. Go for it.
Oh, Heaven. Heavenly.
Oh, I like
That's what I wanted to be.
Good. So you're
full
you're
drag
Heaven
queen
fucking
name.
Lee.
Heaven fucking Lee.
Who the fuck are you?
And I'm a stripper from North London. And I've been stripping, having a great time now for coming up 14 years. I still fucking love it. And I still want to continue to do it as long as I can. Probably at the risk of my health, but you know. Fuck it.
The Camden Lock and you, fuck it.
Yeah. I'll do like vitamin B12 shots and take bit D or whatever just so that I can keep going. But yeah, that's pretty much who I am. Who are you?
I'm Buffy fucking Love. How about Buffy Love?
Buffy Love.
Buffy Loves.
Love it.
So I mean, am I still a stripper? I don't know if I am really. I think
you're many things.
I'm many things.
Yeah.
So I stripped for 20 years. The pandemic kind of killed it for me a little bit. So I've tried to kind of go back into clubs and have found nighttime working a little tricky. So I'm still debating that. I am the creative director of House of Vixens, which is a erotic underground cabaret company that is all female led.
Yay.
And what else do I do? I mean, I do a lot of stuff. I teach kink classes to couples and mostly women and individuals, and show them how to like do shit to their nipples and vulvas. And, you know, I work as a kink concierge, so I help people find sex toys and things like this as well. So that is just something that I weirdly fell into and I'm quite good at. And then I've just qualified as a intimacy coordinator for film and TV. So I'm starting off doing that. And I'm also a film director. So I do
many
things.
I'm undiagnosed ADHD.
I lived that life for a long time.
So I never graduated high school or anything. And then I moved to the UK when I was 18. And I started stripping and I was like, oh, this is relaxing. I've never held a normal job in my life. Well, I tried, I got fired from lots. So I sort of paved my own world of not sitting at desks. And actually when I'm around people who sort of sit at desks all day long, I get really confused about why I'm speaking to them.
It's horrible. I did a desk job for 6 months. Do you remember when I worked for that guy who offered me like a job in Deep Throat or a job or an actual job working for his company?
We still discuss that you chose the wrong job.
I chose the fucking wrong one.
He gave you an option.
I should have gone for the Deep Throat. Yeah. I've got the email somewhere. I'll show it to you. I showed my mum. She was like, what?
I'm surprised he put it in writing.
Yeah, he stupidly put it in writing. Now I fucking send it to everyone. Like, look at this.
My partner and I had a running bet of how long she would last in the desk job.
Yes.
And
6 months was my max as well when I had a
I thought you were going to have, you had a bet on as well. I was like, did everyone have a bet on? Because I know my boyfriend at the time's dad had a bet on too. And he didn't think I'd make the 6-month mark. I did, though.
You did. I just remember I took you out to Selfridges for dinner and got you smashed.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, I hate my life. It's so boring.
It was the worst. I started like pub drinking after work, and I totally understand why people do that shit. I never could understand beforehand because I was just like, really? Go to the pub after work? Like, that just doesn't seem appealing to me. Oh, when I got a fucking desk job, like 9 to 5.
It's to numb the pain.
Just get to the pub ASAP.
I don't know. I can't work anywhere where I can't swear and be inappropriate and ask people weird questions. And I like where there's like HR, I will not survive. That's not something that will.
I don't do HR.
I don't do HR. I mean, I can be professional, but it has to be like in a certain amount of time. I couldn't do like day to day where I'm going in like 9 to 5 and I sit next to somebody named Shirley who's like weird and picks her feet or something. I don't know.
Listen,
like,
nothing wrong with picking your feet.
Yes, there is. Because you give people ringworm, actually.
I gave her ringworm in Vegas.
From your feet?
Yeah, well, we were sitting on a sofa together and I like had athlete's foot and I was picking my feet. And then like a few days later, you got these weird rings all over your body.
Oh my God.
And I tried to blame it on work, didn't I? I was like, oh, it must be the chairs you're sitting on at work.
You dirty bitch.
And then you did like a deep dive on athlete's foot.
And I was like, no, it's your fucking feet.
Oh my God.
Anyway, friendship. I carried the rings of love from heaven around
the rings
me.
of love. Like it.
Nice. Yeah, no, when I did a job, I still don't actually know what the firm did 100%. It was like consultancy, energy consultancy, something. And the biggest drama was I was using one of the IT guys' cups, and I didn't realize we had personalized. I didn't realize we had allocated cups.
See, like the fact that this even happened.
I know,
like,
it's so
just,
depressing. Like the whole day I was in a different room and he apparently was ranting around because he couldn't find his cup. And I had noise cancelling headphones on with white noise playing, so I didn't hear anything. And then he came in later and saw me with the cup and was like absolutely fuming. And I was like,
imagine that's your day.
Oh my God.
Imagine that's your day, that is like the pinnacle of the thing that you give a shit about.
Yeah. I gave him my notice the next day.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, bye.
I'm not playing cup wars with you. So hopefully, I'm sure some of the viewers will know you both from your actual successful podcast, Strippers in the Attic. So do you want to tell us a bit about Strippers in the Attic and how that came to be?
Oh, it came to be during the time that we do not name.
Yeah.
2020. Yeah. And it only came to be because we had fuck all else to do. And we were like, how can we like come up with an excuse to see each other and hang out?
Well, you remember that when Boris Johnson and everybody were having like ragers and we weren't allowed to leave the house. But the only way you could leave the house was if you were working.
Yeah.
So we created work, which was us discussing our assholes into a microphone, sat in my attic.
Are you in an attic?
We were in an attic. Yeah. We still are.
We are now. I mean, we left the attic and then we went back into a new attic.
So it's back in the attic.
Back in the attic.
We're back in the attic. But yeah, so it's it came around quite naturally, but also we were like desperately missing just being in the club, being around people, so coming together once a week and sharing our absurd lives.
So we should probably give people a heads up that we are strippers.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very much what it says in the title, Strippers in the Attic. We were literally strippers in the attic talking about stripping and everything strip related.
And I think it sort of took off because we released it at a good time where everybody was like, if I hear one more fucking thing about COVID.
Yeah.
So we
didn't mention it, did we?
No.
We recorded during the time and we literally pretended like it didn't fucking happen.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. So I think that was helpful. I think everybody really needed some respite and just some silliness. So we have continued being really stupid in an attic.
Great. And I first met you, Buffy, when I was on an episode of Strippers in the Attic.
Yeah, I think Heaven was quite nervous. She was like, oh my God, these are like two of my dearest friends. I hope they don't hate each other.
Yeah, we're colliding.
We're strong personalities,
I would say. Both very strong personalities, but actually very similar in a lot of aspects. And then when you guys came together, I was like, oh shit. The similarities are like kind of crazy here.
Yeah. And, it was love at first sight.
We could have clashed violently, but instead...
It was love. It was all love.
No, it definitely was. No, I was very, very pleased because I tend to keep my friendship groups quite separate. So, you always have that little worry like, on air as well, imagine.
I mean, it could have...
Punch-ups on air.
Ooh. I would have still put it out. It's like
still be entertaining.
Yeah, exactly. We're all down for a bit of wrestling. But yes.
Well, yes, I'm very happy to have you on. And so me and Buffy met when we did the episode of Strippers in the Attic, but me and Heaven met quite a few
long time ago.
before that.
Because we're fucking old now.
And in not ideal circumstances.
No, very ideal.
Well, yeah, now I'm like, thank God. But
Yeah.
at the time I was like,
So we actually were how old when we met? Probably, I think
I don't know, because you lied for so long about how
So
old
that-
you were.
It was very important at the time to lie about your age for many reasons.
What, that you were older?
Yeah.
Oh.
Otherwise, you couldn't buy alcohol, you couldn't go clubbing, you couldn't buy cigarettes, you couldn't have sex with older men.
Peter.
I mean,
You could, but yeah.
you could, but it would, yeah.
be a different genre of men.
But no, I think I was around 13.
Yeah, because
And
I was
you were
14.
you were just a few years older, not a few years older, a few months older than me, but
It was like 11 or
yeah.
something.
Oh, we
Just doing
essentially
what
kidnapped
11-year-olds
her.
do.
Yeah.
Drinking, getting high.
But we met in Camden, didn't we? Because there used to be like a bunch of like goths and alternative kids that would meet up every Saturday and hang out by the lock and drink and do
Binge
all sorts
drink
of
and
debauchery.
experiment with
yeah.
dodgy
And you know
drugs.
what? I'm so glad that we did that, because I see kids nowadays just glued to their phone doing fucking TikTok videos and all that sort of nonsense. And
we
I'm
were
really
damaging
glad-
our brains differently.
Yeah, we were giving ourselves like liver damage, and I'm into that. Yeah, no, yeah,
Also, I feel like because we had that when we were young, when I started filming Skins and everyone was like, oh my God, alcohol and
Yeah,
sex
been
and
there, done
stuff.
that.
I was like, okay.
Boring.
And then university was after we did
Yeah.
Camden and Skins. And when people were like, I was like, are you still excited about drinking? Like, you're 19. Like,
Yeah,
come
like,
on.
We did this years ago. Our parents had no rules, so we just went out and did whatever we fucking wanted at like
Yeah.
age 14, got it out of systems, and then became sensible-ish adults.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I don't really want to give my parents the credit to be like, they knew what they were doing. They purposely
did
let
it.
me do whatever the fuck I wanted. But you could say it was a way to teach people to do it
Yeah,
safely and among creepy older men.
Yeah. get it out the
Yeah.
system.
And why not?
We have most recently all worked together
We
on a
did.
project that Buffy and Heaven created.
Well, it's your
Buffy
creation,
created.
Buffy. Yeah, I was
haven't
in it.
starred in it.
Yeah.
we did a lovely little short film that is a feminist short piece.
It's going to be amazing.
which is going to be amazing. That has nothing to do with our podcast. It was just a creative project that we did together. I mean, everything that we do is naked. So in that respect, it has something to do with that.
Related.
But we performed for years together in House of Vixens, which was my cabaret company as well. So it sort of was an offshoot of a story based on that. But the first time we ever did like a drama thing where there's talking in it. And you were amazing.
Yes.
Thanks. It
I
was
can't
so
wait
much
for our
fun.
scene together. I'm really excited to watch it.
It was very funny.
It was
Any
very
scene where you
funny.
get to eat cake is
Yes,
It's
good.
exactly. And it
for a
felt,
certain amount of takes. And
it
then,
felt just very real.
Yeah.
Like a gaggle of girls just having a good time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to ruin the story for everybody because we will be putting it into the film festival circuit and whatnot. But we've got a screening coming up soon, so
Mhm.
it's very exciting. And it was really hard. Anybody who thinks that filmmaking isn't hard, it was really fucking hard. I nearly had a panic attack quite several times. In the
Yes,
process
I
of
remember
it.
towards the end,
Oh,
before we
so-
wrapped,
yeah,
I think
I
you
was
just
like-
lost your shit.
Yeah, I was done. Oh yeah, I shouted at people.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I feel like there are a lot of male directors who get away with behaving like horrifically. So I think, and I don't think he behaved like that. So I think you've got a lot of room
I mean, I
to-
shouted at my co-director. So
Yeah.
I wasn't shouting at any of
It
my
was really
talent.
awkward. They were both shouting at each other. I was like, yeah, like, should I do it again? Oh, Dad.
Yeah, basically. But he thought it was the funniest part of the day. So he's very robust. He
Okay,
didn't
okay.
care at all. So it's fine. So yeah, shout more. It's fine. It's good for the behind the scenes.
Nice. So we've discovered that you both have careers. We all have careers that diverge from like the typical like 9 to 5.
Very
Job.
much so. I mean, unless 9 to 5 is showing somebody how to do anal play, then
Yes. Well, it could be within the hours of 9 to 5.
I mean, it does. It's often
It's not data entry.
It's often
but
daytime
yeah,
stuff.
it's often
Yeah.
daytime
It's
stuff.
kind of data
Yeah.
entry.
I like to try and work like 12 till 4.
Nice. Yeah. But it's not
Yes.
the typical boring.
It is
No
not.
judgment, but it.
I'm judging. I'm judging. IT man with your own personal cup.
I hope he listens. One of them does subscribe to my OnlyFans, and I know because
Oh,
he
really?
put his full name in his username and a photo of himself as the profile picture. And I was like,
Babe, I had the same with his ex-boyfriend who subscribed to my OnlyFans.
the confidence.
And I was like,
never fails
mate,
to
like,
shock
we
me.
all know your name. And he also had a picture of himself. And it was like, oh, yeah, that's such and such. I'm not going to say his name, but fucking hell.
That is so weird. When I worked at a bar restaurant, I had a boss who was like quite rude to me and then fired me. And I then went to work at the strip club that was like across the street from that. And about 3 years later, he came in and I totally recognized him, but I was like, I'm not giving you that. So he like asked me for a dance. And I was like, yeah, sure. And I did a dance. He was like, don't you remember who I am? I'm like, no. So,
No,
don't let him have that. No, you are nothing.
Sorry.
So something that I like struggled with as I was like transitioning into adult life, which some could argue I still haven't done, was I was undiagnosed autistic and ADHD till I was 30. And I couldn't understand how other people navigated their day. Like I remember thinking like I would give anything to see what other people's days look like because I don't get what I'm supposed to be doing, like and how. So I've started asking people on the podcast to like walk us through an average day in your life, and I say average in like air quotes because I know that a lot of the people I interview are not going to have jobs where most days are the same. But would you be able to walk us through a roughly average day?
A good day or a bad day?
Both, if you'd like.
Well, an average sort of good work day for me is probably I get up at about midday, which I know a lot of people are going to be like, but I work nights. So I get up at midday from my dead asleep sleep because I have all the things. I have about 5 bonnets that I wear. To keep my hair from just being completely fucked up.
I have to say, you're one of the most beautiful people I know who has the capability of looking like the biggest gremlin I've ever seen, which is impressive.
The funny thing is, it's a real turn on for my partner.
Thank
he
God.
loves me in my bonnets.
You know, it's not the first
the
thing
bigger
I've
the
heard
bonnet,
about
the better.
bonnets. I've heard a few people's
fetish.
boyfriends are
It's
into
a thing.
bonnets.
Yeah, no, it is a thing. I have like my earplugs in, my sleep mask. Then I have like an anxiety blanket on top of me, and I have one of those funny shaped pillows under my neck. So I awake from my slumber, like Sleeping Beauty,
sexual slumber.
Yeah, at about 12, and I get up and I take my dog out for a walk. I feed him, and then I have a matcha latte. If I'm having a good day, I will do my stretches on my yoga mat and maybe some Wim Hof breathing. I don't know if anyone else does that, but it's like part of
Is
my
that
new
the ice
thing.
bath guy?
Yes. Yeah. So you do about 10 minutes, basically, like 3 rounds of his breathing stuff. Oh, I've also put face yoga into my morning workout if I'm having a good time.
What is
like
face yoga?
You make really funny faces.
Okay.
Like, yeah, and you sort of like massage the face and whatever. And it's meant to be like natural Botox.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I do that. Try and do meditation if I can.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do I do? What else do I do?
Just fanny about.
Just fanny around, really. Just fucking fuck about in my house. And then I'm just going to skip the day because the day is just like me fucking around, trying to like do a little
Are you still playing harp?
Oh, yeah. I sometimes play the harp. And then probably I would say I start getting ready for work at about 6. So obviously I've made my dinner, blah, blah, blah. I get ready for work. That normally takes about 2 hours, to be honest.
You're
2.5 hours. I take forever to get ready. And then I drive into work. I work in Shoreditch in a nightclub there. So I go about my shift, probably start about 8 or 9. And I finish at about 3:30. So that's kind of my average day. I mean, it can change, obviously, because I only also work about 3 days a week. Mm-hmm. So it varies very much. I might have like a private client or something like that I'll see during the day. I work in a dungeon doing dominatrix stuff. So sometimes that comes up. Sometimes we work together.
We do.
So yeah, that's kind of my average day.
Nice. Thank you. What about you, Buffy?
So every day, irregardless if I'm working or not, I will wake up. I like to not wake up quickly because I find it awful. So I always try and like any time that I need to leave the house, I wake up at least 4 hours before that. So that I can, like a psychopath. So that I want to wake up and just lie in my bed and sort of stare at the ceiling for a little while because that is a nice way to wake up. And then I will have my lemon and hot water. And then I will do yoga. So
For 2 hours.
for
Let
2
me, like a
hours.
psychopath. Let
Like
me
a
just
psychopath.
point
So-
out.
Really?
I mean, well, I've been a little bit slack lately, but because I had
Your
an
slack
injury,
is not really slack.
yeah. Well, I had an injury on my wrist, so I couldn't do my like hardcore circus yoga. But I am trained as a Ashtanga yoga teacher, so I
What
did
is
like
circus yoga?
it's like Ashtanga yoga. So it's
Oh.
just like it's quite intense, where you see people like doing like legs behind their head shit and everything like that. So I like trained. It was like 500-hour teacher trainer thing. So I trained in Thailand and then India for like second. And so yeah, so I'm quite an advanced yogi. I've been
Wow.
doing yoga for about
I can
12
confirm
years.
this. I've seen you in all sorts of positions.
So yeah, like
how?
yeah, I mean, I can absolutely, if I had a big dick, could suck it easily. I can nearly lick my own cunt. So there we go. So I do that in the mornings and ponder licking my own cunt and go, yeah, I'm good. And then I will meditate for 20 minutes after
Have
that.
a wank as well. I forgot to add that in.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
Like always?
yeah,
Every
like
day?
most days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
impressed.
An AM wank.
No, it's always a PM
PM,
because I'm not up
okay.
in the AM. But, yeah.
Good. Like, is this like pre-work? Does it get you
Yeah,
in the mood?
yeah. Sometimes because like, yeah, I don't want to just be snail trailing over people.
Fair.
Wouldn't you be if you had a wank prior
No,
to
because
work?
then you have a shower. And it's
Oh, I
allowed.
see, I see.
Okay, so it's like the wank precedes.
I don't do it just before work.
And
but-
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, I think, yeah.
Anyway,
that's
I
fair.
feel like you do that too. So that's why I added it in.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would like for sure. Maybe less so in my yoga routine, but
We almost did a wank class together, didn't we?
we did, yeah, just because it would be funny. But and we still might do that.
Yeah,
But,
no, I think
yeah.
we
So
should.
then I will have my breakfast, which I always make like something. I try and have like 7 vegetables in my breakfast each morning, so that I'm like getting my daily fiber intake. So that's my little obsessive challenge that I'm doing at the
I
moment.
don't even think I could name 7 vegetables.
I've been listening to the Zoe app a lot, and they're like talking about like gut health. So
Mhm.
I'm
Variety is literally the spice
I'm
of your
40,
gut.
so
Yeah.
I'm starting to think about everything to do with my health now. Because to do it before, no, I'm just gonna do it now and
No,
hope for the
that's fine.
best.
Are you into seeds?
Sure.
No, you gave yourself a rip in your arsehole from eating too many seeds.
I gave myself an anal fissure. So I not actually, but I did like shit
She
out
was
of seed.
very
and-
into seeds.
Yeah,
Too into seeds, some may say.
Okay, it's a touchy
I've
subject.
calmed down on the seeds a little bit. I forgot about that. It's true. So yeah, I've chilled on the seeds. Apparently you can't have too much of a good thing. So yes, popcorn also high in fiber. Like I had some stomach problems a couple of years ago, and
Yeah,
I thought
we
it
both
was,
did at the
yeah,
same
I thought
time.
it was the
It was-
stress of COVID because
Mhm.
it was quite a stressful time for me. I lived with some really insane people, which I could do a whole podcast on why not to flat share. And so I just got terrible stomach aches for a period of time. And I went to all these nutritionists and I ate seeds till I bled from my asshole and looked up all the high fibrous things because like that's what everybody was telling me to do. And then it worked out that I just needed to stop eating wheat. And my stomach problems went away immediately.
So we are now those motherfuckers.
Yeah, I'm
Me
not,
and you
but I'm
both
so embarrassed
gluten-free.
about it. Whenever I go to a restaurant, I'm just like, yeah, no, I can't eat gluten. Like, I just don't want to be that asshole. Cause I was that asshole in my 20s, like, just like, yeah, I'm gluten free, but for no reason. And now I'm gluten free
Just
for
doing
a
all the
reason.
coke.
Yeah,
Like,
just doing all the cocaine and be like,
I'm gluten-free.
I'm gluten-free.
Now the gluten gods have come back to spite you.
Yeah, they really have. And I miss croissants. So yeah, so basically I will do that. And then if I'm teaching, I will, just get myself ready and go in. So there's several different dungeons that I teach out of sometimes, or I will also teach at people's homes.
Mhm.
So if somebody has like, they want to set up their home space or, somebody wants to kind of figure out their alter ego, specifically a lot of women are kind of work out like how can they, dress in a certain way and feel like they can own that space. A lot of the women that I teach tend to be sometimes in their 50s and like newly divorced. And so they're kind of trying to work out like, maybe they're not going to do any kinky stuff in the dating scene, but they just want to feel like if they walked into a room, they could sort of own that space.
That's so interesting.
A lot of people just come because they just want to have some confidence and to try something totally new. I get a lot of couples who come in together who
You
are
are
either
the couple queen.
I am the couple queen.
Yeah.
I was the couple queen in the strip club and I still am in teaching kink stuff. And I have to say, like being a bit older now, like nobody wants a 20-year-old to show them how to have sex.
Mhm.
But a 40-year-old woman feels a little less threatening. So I'm working with a wonderful couple of couples at the moment who, one of them is in their early 30s and they are just wanting to kind of before they get married, kind of try lots of stuff and, learn how to open up about fantasies to each other. And so just helping them navigate all of that. And then I have another couple who are in their 50s/60s, and they are a new couple, but have known each other for years and years. And so they are just wanting to explore with everything now that they don't have kids at home and everything like that, but they've only been together for a couple of years. So that has been really
You're
lovely.
like a sexy shaman.
I am like a sexy shaman. So, but just not a wanker. That's So yeah. And, I'm just always trying to make people feel really confident. And my main aim is to help women feel really confident, because even though I worked in the sex industry, since I was 18 years old, it still took me a really long time to find the words to even talk to close partners about what I liked sexually and how to express that. And so if I can help more people be able to do that and have good sex, I'm considering that a big win. And if they can do it at an earlier age, that's even better. But, it's never too late. So I get lots of people who come to me feeling like they've missed out on this wonderful, fabulous life. And I just say, no, if you're doing it now, life is for living now. There's no point in looking to the past. So let's just get on with this. So it's really fun and often very silly. So I enjoy that a lot.
I think that is so great, because I met my partner on Field.
Okay, yeah.
But after I had years of going from one relationship straight into another relationship, extremely
with some terrible people, might I add.
Yeah, some embarrassing
We've all
people.
been there.
Some not but some horrific, right? But then I was like, fuck it, I can't, right? Had a forced period of singleness.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, hated it, but now I'm like, everybody should have to have a single period in 100%. Their 20s, because now that I'm in my approaching mid-30s, I have friends who spent their entire 20s in relationships.
Me.
With oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But then I'm like, but also I feel like you were quite sexually experimental.
I cheated on them all. Yeah.
I was trying to put it nicely.
Super hoe bag. Fine.
But you got to experience what you like, whereas I feel like we live in a world where definitely we're taught as women, it's not really okay to experiment, find out what you like. And I do think it is a secret ploy to be like, the more people, particularly men that you date, have sex with, whatever, the more you might realize that some of them are shit. So if you've only ever had sex with one guy or a few, you don't have anything to compare it to.
I mean, maybe some people, I think if you're probably coming from a religious standpoint where sex is specifically for procreation, right? And so it doesn't have any other purpose. It's not for joy. And even if it is for joy, it is so you make more babies, right? So that is one way of looking at things. But I very much come from a place that I feel like we all have a responsibility for our own pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
And so, self-pleasure is huge. And if you can't explain to somebody how you want to come, if you can't explain to somebody what you like and you don't have the words for that, and you don't do self-pleasure and you don't ever think about and expand what you find sexually interesting, how the fuck is somebody else supposed to figure that out? And sometimes you will just have amazing chemistry with somebody and you just, there's sparks flying, all that kind of stuff. But most sexuality is learned. And every time you have a new partnership, guess what? All the information that you have is fucking useless because that person's body is different. And so some of it might cross over, loads of it might not. And so I just think that by creating a space where people can ask questions. I always kind of go with my yoga teacher California vibes, which is no stupid questions in here. I've seen and done everything. So you can literally say and ask me anything and do anything and I'll be fine. Don't shut on the floor, but anything above that.
That has happened.
That has happened. So again, so what I'm saying, please don't do that again. That was awful.
You were not paid enough money.
I was not paid enough money, never. So, I literally have seen everything and I really do want people to feel good about themselves. So that's one aspect. Maybe if I'm doing something more in my creative director spaces, I will, at the moment I am curating all the performances for the Mandrake Hotel where I do a lot of stuff for them for their live events. So I'll be doing a intimacy workshop with some of the people who are doing a sort of more sexual style show to make sure that everybody's boundaries are good and then creating something for them. So that will be all day spent at the Mandrake Hotel, for instance, and just working with different artists on that. If I'm doing stuff for films, obviously, lots about prepping for that and doing things. And then sometimes I'm just poodling around at home, not doing anything, which is my least favorite way of being. I want to be busy all the time, doing things all the time, hopefully crossing over multiple things at once so that I don't get bored.
Nice.
We are so opposite in that respect.
Yeah. I
I want to do nothing. I don't want to leave my house. I don't want to see anyone.
If I have like a stretch of more than sort of 3 days in the row that I'm not doing anything, I could kill
my
someone.
joy.
Yep, same.
It's my joy. It must be an ADHD thing then. Like,
I don't
you guys
know.
just
I
need
think,
to be busy
yeah.
doing your shit.
I gotta do, and my partner is also just like, oh God, when are you leaving the house? Like he just knows it's just it's bad for me.
It's hard. Like I have tried this year to be like, okay, set in boundaries around your time and your energy, because when I got the autism diagnosis, I was like, right, you keep getting burnt out, like autistic burnout, because you're not. But then I put boundaries around it, and then I'm sitting at home and I'm like,
twiddling your thumbs.
I've told everyone that I'm not free and available for them, but I am.
Now
I wanna do
so
things.
free right now. Yeah.
I think you guys just need to meet up in your spare time and just do weird ADHD
I
shit
can't
together.
sit still and do nothing
No.
for more than a day.
Go do some obsessive
I'm like,
things.
Did you want? I just sit here and like, what do I do?
I just
What-
can't.
what-
And also, like, people are so slow. I can't really deal with it. Like, I'm a really bad interrupter, like really bad. But I'm just
Same.
also going like, but why are you talking so fucking
You guys
slow?
are so similar.
But like, so my partner yells at me all the time. He's old as well. So he's just like really slow and like can't think of words. And I'm like, I know what the word is. And he's like, stop interrupting. I'm like, well, think faster.
I know
And
what you're going to say.
Yeah, so I'm awful. But I would say that also I'm much older than both of you. And I feel like COVID stole some pivotal moments from my late 30s. And so I really don't want to waste any time. Like I have a little window where people will be interested in the things that I'm doing. And then I'm just going to be an old lady talking about menopause. And
I think you'll still be very interesting and people are still going to be.
But I'll just be another one of the old ladies who's like, I used to be cool. I've got a brief window where I don't have to like shout at people I used to be cool because I'm still cool. And like, I think I've got like 3 years left. And so
You have not got 3. Oh,
I need to get all of that time in between while people are still
If it helps
interested.
your ADHD brain, then yeah, by all means do that. But you'll still be cool in more than 3 years. Don't worry.
Thank you. We'll see.
So we've covered this a little bit, but I always want to ask my guests what led them to the type of work they do. For me, it was because, heaven knows, I have had every fucking job in the book. So
I've never known anyone who's done more jobs than you.
I have worked in a Big Lebowski themed bowling alley / pizzeria.
That sounds amazing.
Which none of them worked, specifically the admin ones. But I have a theory that a lot of people are in sex work and creative freelancing because the normal workforce is just not built for everybody.
Yeah.
It isn't, and it's very exclusive and inaccessible to a lot of people. So I'd love to know, or you to put in your own words, like why you were brought to sex work or the other types of work.
I feel like
that
I
you do.
actually knew this from a really young age. Which I've been lucky enough to know that about myself, that I could not do a normal job. And I actually had a couple of regular jobs that I quite liked, but I always knew that ultimately, like, I was going to be able to just like milk the shit out of being like young and attractive. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's, as soon as I legally can. In fact, I didn't even wait till I legally could. I illegally milked the shit out of being young and attractive.
You are very attractive.
Not so much now. I'm fucking a bit hagged now, but
No,
it's
you're not.
good.
You're still very attractive.
It's dark at work. I don't care. But yeah, so I'd worked as I always tell people, well, I used to tell people this when I was drunk. I used to be a professional rapper. It's not as cool as it sounds.
Hang on.
No.
I'm sorry.
Rapper.
What?
A gift rapper. That was the joke.
Sorry.
You were like, I don't remember this time in your life.
Yeah, but heaven, it's you. It could have very well been a rapper. I wouldn't be surprised.
Like, if you're a rapper, what would you rap about right now?
So the one that I used was my go-to
Go
before, like, I destroyed my brain with drugs and now I can't remember it, was the Hiphopopotamus. They call me the Hiphopopotamus. My lyrics are bottomless. Sometimes my rhymes are polite, like, thank you for doing this right. That was very delicious. Good night. Sometimes they're obscene, like a pornographic joke. I'm going to stop now. My sister's actually banging at that rap, so if you ever get the chance,
I will
ask her to do it. She's fucking sick. She shits all over me. Not literally, but like, yeah.
Again,
that's a different thing.
Yeah.
Talent.
Professional rapper.
Love it.
which I actually quite liked because I like wrapping presents, and also I got to like sell and blow up those helium balloons. And so I'd just be in the stock room like doing helium, and like
it was a gateway drug.
I mean,
that was WD-40. We all know that from our podcast. You have to listen to that.
Just the classy stuff.
What do you do with WD-40?
Huff it.
Yeah.
Really?
It.
We're not endorsing huffing WD-40.
I mean,
nobody's endorsing it. You don't even need to say that. You know,
the smell of it is so nostalgic to me.
If you hear that story and you think, oh, we should give that a try, I mean, go for it.
You just
basically
to lose the brain cells.
So gift wrapper, and I also sold frozen yogurt.
I remember because I visited you.
Yeah, you did come and visit me. Yeah,
very
in
nice
Brentcross
yogurt.
Shopping Centre. And I actually really liked all those jobs. They were quite fun, but I knew that like this was not
sustainable.
Me. Yeah, I knew that like ultimately I was gonna sell what I had. And as soon as I could, when I was 17, I worked in an underground sex club illegally that my friend's dad actually ran. And also weird. God. And she saw pictures of me naked on his computer and pulled him up on it. It was like, that's my friend. She's 17. Why have you got naked pictures? And he was like, oh, and then had to fire me. But nicely. I mean, he said like, come back when you're 18. And I was like, no, mate, I'm going to go to like a proper club when I'm 18.
This is just my without an ID club.
Yeah, this was my without an ID club. Like no one asked any questions type thing. And I remember some of my family members because I posted the pictures on Facebook. As you do.
Naked pictures?
Yeah, I put stuff over my tits. But like one of my cousins like flagged it up and like tried to talk to my mum about it. My mum was like, she do what she wants.
I'm sure you have your mum on Facebook, like she knows.
Yeah, like she didn't care. She was just like, oh, such and such told me about the naked pictures. Anyway,
intervention.
Parenting 101.
Also, what a narc. Who?
I don't know. Anyway, whatever.
One of your Jesus-y cousins.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And then so I went from there. As soon as I was 18, I went and worked at the Sunset Strip. Big up to the Sunset Strip. It's still just about hanging on by a thread. We went and visited.
Yeah, I saw it was open the other day, and
yeah.
I thought it closed. And I was like,
I think it is going to close eventually, but they've changed hands anyway. So
yeah,
a lot of changes have been made. But yeah, so I knew from a young age that I was like, fuck it, I wanna do sex work. Like, that's literally what I want to do. And the yogurt man who owned the yogurt company that I worked at, he nearly cried when I told him. He was really sweet. I mean,
Wait, did you tell him, like, excuse me, I've got to leave yogurt for sex work?
Yeah, because we were quite close.
I'm no longer in the yogurt industry.
His name's Ez. Shout out to Ez if he's listening.
We saw him. Didn't we see him perform somewhere?
Oh,
for my birthday?
No,
that wasn't him.
So that is a guy who I worked with at the yogurt company.
Oh, but not the leader.
Who's now a stand-up comedian, and we went and saw him. Yeah, but not the leader of the yogurt. No.
Leader of the yogurt.
Not the yogurt leader. I was in the yogurt
the grand
cult.
wizard of yogurtry. Fantastic.
But no, I told him. He was like, oh, so are you going to book in your shifts for like next term or whatever it was? And I was like, no, because I'm leaving. Because I'm going to become a stripper. And he literally nearly cried. He was so upset. He was trying to beg me not to do it. And I was like, no, just absolutely no, not having it.
I love how you had to like ruin the yogurt man's life.
Like, I know, I did. You know. I think he thought of me as like a daughter. Like he was we had a really nice relationship and he was very protective of me, but almost to the point where it's like, yeah, but I'm also an adult.
Yeah.
Next month. So,
yeah.
Almost
being the operative word. I mean, I came to London. I got a job at a pub as a barmaid. Had never been into a pub before. So when they were like, do you know what you're doing? I'm like, yeah. And did not. And so somebody would like order lager and lime. And I just gave them a pint of lager with a lime in it. So
that would probably be nicer, to be honest, than lager and lime.
I don't know.
I would still do that today.
Yeah,
like,
I used to wear, I don't know. I used to wear like high heels to work. And they were like, could you like not wear high heels to work? And like, when like a customer comes to the bar, you need to like go to them, not wait for them to come to you. But like, so I was shit. So I got fired from there. Then I worked as a waitress, got fired from there. I think I worked at another bar and I thought this was like totally fine. It's actually, I don't think it's there anymore. It used to be called the Bedroom Bar and it was on Rivington Street. And this is like 2001 Shoreditch when it was really cool. And I worked there and the chef and I were quite good friends. And I had some weed or like maybe I had some coke and he had some weed and I was like, oh, we could just do like a trade. And then somebody told on me. So I got fired from there for like dealing drugs or something. But I was like, and like even my boss fired me.
Drug dealing or whatever.
Yeah, I was like, we just did a trade.
There's no money exchange, just cocaine.
So apparently that wasn't cool. And then
See, when you're a sex worker, you can do that.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
fine.
You could just trade. And then I basically thought, okay, well, I kind of want to be a stripper, but I'm not sure because I had a friend in school when I was like 14 and she was 18 because I was really cool. So I was friends with the old adult people. And she was a stripper. She used to carry like pictures of herself around in like topless pictures. Very odd. And so she was showing me her topless pictures and telling me about how she used to like sit with old men and eat steak in San Francisco and they would pay her a lot of money and she didn't even really need to do anything. So I was like, that's a job. That's a fucking great job. So I had it in the back of my head that like, that is an option.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got fired from all these places and I was like, I need an option, I then went and got a job as a waitress at Stringfellows. And this is when Dear Peter was still alive and his little leopard print thong. And so when I went there, I think I only did like 2 shifts or something and because I was shit and I also got fired. But they were like, do you know how to open champagne? I was like, yes. No. And so when you got in as well, you had to buy your own outfit. And so the waitresses at that time, the outfit you had to wear were nude pantyhose with a white thong over them, with a white corset that covered your bust, with white heels, right? So
Sounds expensive.
Well, I went to H&M and got things that were so shiny that you could have seen me from space and lit me on fire just by looking at me. And I did a whole plate of champagne glasses that I could not open the champagne bottle for on my first shift. I think I actually only did 1 shift. And then I proceeded to clop over to Peter Stringfellow's table and spill the entire tray of champagne glasses all over him and his bougie friends. So
on Mr. Stringfellow himself.
Yeah. So I was great.
What was his initial reaction?
I mean, I think he just sort of laughed at me. I was so pathetic. I think I had like blue eyeshadow on. I mean, it was just like not a good thing. And then basically I Googled like most famous strip club in London and the Windmill came up. And so that was the first club that I went into. And if people want to hear that beautiful experience, they can listen to our first time episode, which is episode 1 of
literally
season
our
1.
first ever episode.
Yeah. So that was tragic and lots of different reasons why. So is yours. So yeah, it was just sort of like, and then I think like the first couple of weeks I had to kind of get my head around everything. But then once I got into the flow of stripping, it was like, this is fucking great. I'm like working basically for myself, making shitloads of money because this was like 2002.
The golden era.
And the golden era. And yeah, I could just be like my regular crazy self, talk to everyone, which I love because I love people and I love talking to people. I got to dress up, which I love. And so it like held a lot of things for me. And also I think because I really like to be quite overly stimulated, the fact that you're always multitasking all the time, I found really relaxing. So it was really like, I find being in like the busiest club with, having to do like a pound in the pot collection and make sure that you get everybody, into there and then making sure that you're working out what your stage show is and then working out who's going to have a dance with you and, and then knowing how to go to different people and speak to them and all that kind of stuff is just like the nicest thing for me. And I've never, ever actually found, like, that's why I do a million things now, is that I've never found anything that holds that space for me in the same way that's like one thing. So I have to do like multiple things in order for me to feel like I have all of those areas of my self stimulated. So it's still the job that I love the most.
I saw this meme about neurodivergent people, or ADHD specifically, and it was like neurotypicals in a crisis. And they're like, I don't know what to do. Oh my God, chaos. And then it's like people with ADHD in a crisis, and they're like, I've been prepping for this my entire life.
I mean, I am very good in a crisis. There's something called dosha types, which you would really love. We should do that together, which is like the Indian version of like personality types.
What one are you?
I'm
the one with the V.
Vata?
Yeah, I'm a Vata.
Yeah, so
you're a Pitta, fiery.
Yeah.
Thought so.
So you can do the whole little test thing, but basically the way that you describe it is you've got Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Kapha are like people who are like really chill. And then you've got Vata who are like space cases, never turn up on time. And then
I was on fucking time today.
It was so... I don't know what that was. It was just like out of character. The idea is that you're supposed to be a blend of all three. So as you're aging, I think you're getting a blend of all three together.
Yeah.
And then you've got Pitta, which is just like fiery as fuck. And so the sort of thing goes is like the world's ending. Everything is going to shit. So your Kapha person is really lovely and kind and actually is a much nicer person than any of us sitting here right now. Maybe. So they will like slowly work out what to do and they will like save everyone. And, you know, at the end of it, they're going to die. But everybody else was saved and it was fine. Totally not me. Then we've got the Vata who's like going to come up with amazing ideas and like so many ideas of how to save everybody. And then they turn around and everyone's dead and they're just about to die themselves because they just couldn't get their shit together. And then you've got the Pitta who's like, okay, cool. You lot over there, you go into this group over here. You lot over there, really sorry, you're going to die. I'm going to be this group that lives, but you know, we saved most of you. Bye.
That's the Pitta. I relate to the Pitta.
Yeah.
So, but the idea is to be balanced. I'm not.
Balance. We are anything but. Yes.
Hard relate. So we've spoken a lot about like the pros of your work, and I think a lot of people have this idea that for sex work to be considered a legitimate job, everybody has to enjoy every minute of it, which is ironic because of the multiple jobs I've done, I've hated most of them, but I still had worker rights in those jobs, even though I fucking hated it. So I would like to ask you something that the thing that you love the most about your job, and then also something that you don't like, but it doesn't mean it's not a job worth doing.
Yeah. I mean, God, I love so many aspects about my work. I love the in-personness of it. I love being able to dress up like a fucking whore. It's Halloween every day. Woo! Yeah. I love it. I love dancing, going on stage. I've got a new love for going back on stage again.
Oh,
now
good.
that we've got a DJ who actually plays fucking all right music.
That's great.
And so I'm back in the swing of that. I love all the fucking mental strippers. Like the people that you
Stripper
meet
drama.
in stripping is just like, we're all misfits. So it's just like a bunch of misfits in a room together. And that's a lot of fun. I really like that. Obviously the money is banging, can also be shit. Totally can be shit. I love that actually as I age, I get better at my job. That's really exciting for me. There's literally so much I love about it. The things that I don't love are actually quite limited and small. And the thing that I really don't like is working nights. I hate working nights. Like
that was the thing that did it for me.
I know it's aging me and I know that it's making me feel like shit. Like I know that's the thing. So I used to work at this amazing place called Ye Old Axe. Which was going to be just the place that I retired at.
Has it closed?
Yeah, it's been shut down. So it got shut down. I had to move to a place around the corner. But at the Axe, I was doing day shifts. It was banging. It was so good. It was just like, you could kind of have a regular life and you could still have a social life and be able to go to bed, at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
So that was really nice. I don't like working nights because I don't go to bed until about 4:30, which is a bit...
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
I couldn't.
And I fucking hate the management at the place that I work.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's the thing that lets it down for a lot of people in sex work, especially ones that work in places like strip clubs.
Yeah.
It's the people that run.
That's what did it for me.
Yeah, not always, but a lot of the time. So an example of the person that owns the club that I work at, he decided while I was away sick because I had surgery and that, you have to re-audition for your jobs because obviously his business is suffering at the moment. It must be our fault.
Of course.
It must be everyone's dancing. So he re-auditions everyone.
Do they have to dance for him?
Yes.
Oh, what an added benefit.
He was actually at the back.
He's like, I don't think he's a sexual person.
No. I don't think he's even watching. Like, that's the whole thing.
It's just a power thing.
It's a power thing, yeah. So
It's
I
not
had
a
to
sexual
come
thing.
back into work because if I didn't come into work to do my audition, I would lose my job. So I was like, okay, fine. I'm still suffering, but that's fine. So I came in, I did my audition. I thought it went okay. It wasn't banging, but it was okay. I mean, I had 6 weeks off, so I was a little rusty. But still, I am actually a trained professional dancer. So I was like, I probably was okay. And then I go down to the back to talk to him and he was like, just shaking his head at me going, you look all right, but your stage show was really bad. You can't dance. Literally told me that.
And she's like the most amazing
I
dancer.
was,
And
I mean, I'm not, but also
No,
like,
you
I can
are.
dance just about.
No, you're a really great dancer.
And he was like, you know, I hated the way you took off your knickers and you took off your bra too quickly. He just continued to slate me basically. And then he was like, but the saving grace is I've got a dance teacher in and she's going to teach you all how to dance. She's a really classy lady. Bless her. I don't want to shit on her at all. She was really
she's
sweet,
a nice woman.
But classy lady is not necessarily how I would
those would
describe
not
her.
be two words that I would
It's
use.
not, you know, I mean,
I've known
great.
Have you come into
Oh, no, I've known her
with
for
this?
20 years.
Okay.
And
she's amazing. She's 67.
Yeah, and she was
she's
a
still
dancer.
getting her tits out, but
that's all she wanted to do. She just basically wanted to get up and be
get
like,
her tits
get
out.
her tits out. That was...
And yeah, so she's great, but anyway, not as described, not as advertised.
And making every single dancer there pay 50 quid.
Pay 50 quid
for
to
what?
go and do a dance class with her.
Which obviously he got a cut of.
So yeah, and there's about 40 of us. So obviously do the maths, you know, they made a bit of money. So yes, I had
it's just
to do
a shakedown. So that's just, I mean, but that's like not even like when you told me that, I was like, oh,
not surprised.
Yeah.
So this is sometimes what we have to deal with when we work in sex work venues that are run
by insane people,
by crazy people, which they normally are.
They also seem like they couldn't run a piss up in a brewery. I'm like, you have naked women and alcohol, and why is your business not thriving? Like, what else do you need?
We're not classy, apparently.
It's so insane.
I've worked in loads of thriving places, but it's still like, so I would say that all the things that you mentioned are all the things I love as well. But obviously when you're working, you know, there is like this little sort of megalomania sort of situation going on in a strip club where you've just got somebody who is their own personal god. And so, you know, you have to sort of adhere to whatever their rules are. And there is no HR, there is no thing. So it's complicated. It's really complicated. I would say that I was able to navigate it, and I would, you know, if there was a club that was too toxic, I mean, I actually could. I tried to work in the one that Heaven's in, and I couldn't work in it. So I did like one night and was I cried. I was like,
the one that
so
you're working
tired.
in now is the one that like tried to tell me that they weren't a strip club.
Yes,
and rejected me. Just outright.
There you go. So it's like, you know, you can choose. The thing is you can choose where you work. You can choose to be around something toxic or not, but that's when you're in a big city. So like if you live in a small town, there might only be one strip club to work in. And, you know, there are definitely very problematic owners and things like that people have had much worse experiences with. Neither of us have really had anything that was like too terrible, to be honest. And we're just like, and also we've got pretty thick skin and are able to kind of dust it off. I would definitely say it's not a job for people who are super sensitive or who take, you know, somebody's opinion of you at face value, because often you go and audition, and if you don't get the job, it's not because you aren't good at what you do necessarily. I mean, maybe you are shit, who knows? But it's not necessarily because of that. It might just be that this guy, Brian, only likes blonde girl, you know, and so it's like girly girls who sort of look a certain way, and then he's just basing everything on that. And then you look and everybody's like a fembot repeat of that thing that he personally thinks is attractive, right? And so it can be quite homogenized in that way. I mean, we always talk about Palomino in Las Vegas as like the best club we ever worked in because it was so mixed. And you really, you had such a variety. And I think the big reason for that is actually the owner didn't audition people. The managers auditioned people, and you had lots of different managers who were like, like there was one guy who was just, you know, your normal white guy. And then you had loads of guys who were Samoan and from Hawaii. So they had like a different taste in women, you know? And so it wasn't like this just homogenized view of what women should look like. I think you had about 4 different hiring managers, and they all had different taste. And that was actually suited much better. And then somewhere
and they realized that everyone else has different tastes.
Yeah. And they actually were quite, you know, they were quite open to lots of tattoos, bigger sizes, you know, and they really, I mean, that place had such a sort of selection of different types of beauty, which is lovely. The only place I've seen that ever in London is Sunset Strip. Which is where like you just don't get this homogenized beauty. And we actually took a friend of ours, and she was just saying how much she enjoyed seeing herself, like that she was like, I've never gone into a strip club and seen myself in that space. And in there you actually could, you know, because you had this like real richness about it. So the thing I dislike the most about it, you can choose to engage in as much as you want to. Like, you are making really good money right now, so you're putting up with that shit.
Yeah, I mean, I laugh it
choice.
off.
Yeah.
Most things go over my head, and I find
You're
it
also
really
the
easy.
most laid back person
Yeah.
I've ever
Yeah.
met, I think.
I would
chill.
have headbutted him. And, so it's like, I wouldn't respond well to somebody saying that kind of shit to me. But, I just wouldn't be able to work in those environments, so I've always kind of been able to maintain like a basicness of, working. And then obviously, when you have people who come in are disrespectful of your workplace and things like that, I don't love that, and sometimes, you don't make any money and it's a bit shit, or you're tired or whatever, like any other job. But I have to say, for myself, I would say sex work and all the different iterations that I've tried, from being a dominatrix to stripping, it's just really fun and weird and great. So I can't really complain about it too much. I think it's one of the greatest jobs ever.
It's mostly just all positives for me.
But everybody has a different experience. So we're not
speaking for everyone.
Yeah, we're not the spokespeople for strippers or sex workers.
Yeah.
We're just, that's our personal experience.
Yeah. I also think that it's like important to be like, even if you were like, oh, this is shit and this is shit and this is shit, there are so many parallels between what is annoying and shit in sex work and what is annoying and shit in many other jobs.
Yeah.
I think a whole thing with sex work as well is that it sort of gets held to a higher standard, that you have to always be having a great time. And that discredits people who are in survival sex work, where they just need to do that. And, people don't judge survival jobs in any other, iteration, really. And, I think the saying that I quite like is, if you have an issue with somebody stripping, but you don't have an issue with somebody doing construction work, you really don't have an issue with sex work. You have a morality issue, because that's body labor as well. It's very hard on the body, and also has more trafficked people in construction sites than you would ever find in a strip club, because there's just not the same necessities for, checking passports and all that kind of stuff. So, I don't know. People have a lot of issues with sex, and they are brought up to think that sex is dirty or puritanical or, from religious perspectives. And it feeds into lots of aspects of our lives. So, I don't know. I'd say more nakedness always.
Yes. Yes. Is there a random fact about your work that you feel like a lot of people won't know? I feel like there's probably a few.
I did actually try and Google this, and they were like, facts that will floor you. And so I was ready to be floored, and they were like, 1 in 3 strippers are putting themselves through college. I was like, okay, well, this isn't like that exciting. I will say, though, that we found out about the sort of origins of pole dance.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And that was really cool. So that came from back in the day from traveling circuses.
Yes.
And the women.
It was the hoochie coochie shows.
Yes. So women often of color,
or Latino American,
would be dancing around the poles of the
circus tent.
As a sort of like, what was it, like a kind of sideshow type thing?
It was just to basically get you from,
like
entertainment until the next bigger entertainment come on. So I think they were called the hoochie coochie shows. And
so that's the origins of pole dance, which is really cool, because I didn't know about that until we kind of looked into it.
I think it's the origins of sexual pole dance, because obviously there's like Chinese pole dancing, which is
that's a whole different
it's like
thing.
circus kind of stuff. So that comes from a kind of a different place. And I'm sure somebody will write into you and say, well, actually, but
isn't this like twerking as well? Like,
any of the sort of really kind of sexual dancing all comes from women of color in the United States. And then, there's a really wonderful, I can't remember, I'll have to send it over to you, but there's a great Instagram account that's all Latin American cabaret performers. And, they have a huge history of it where, they're all on TV and they were sort of local celebrities and all sorts of stuff. So, and that was like, from the 50s and onwards. So, it's been part of the lexicon of entertainment for a very long time. And if you sort of go back in the day into like, temples and things like that, revering the female figure, belly dancers, goddesses in temples were all kind of lightly dressed. So I think that the space for erotic dance has been around for much longer than people realize.
We even think, and I mean, it is also like just as prostitution is the oldest job technically, or profession.
I think being a doctor actually technically
is it?
Yeah, because you have witch doctors and things like that. So
Okay. Well, it's one of the oldest ones anyway, so it's not about to go away anytime soon, although a lot of people like to think that it's
you just make it unsafe.
But it just it's just going to be pushed underground the more clubs that are closing. But yeah, and there was another one as well. Was it in the 40s or maybe no, vaudeville times? In strip clubs that would often, the strippers would be paired with comedians, and you had to be still on stage.
Yes.
So you weren't allowed to move.
I've
so
heard
they
about
would,
this.
Yeah, so it would be just sort of like naked
statues.
Yes.
So, and then that was where in the windmill, they actually created this, it was sort of like a sort of baggage hall, but for strippers, right? Where it was sort of like a moving platform. And so they wouldn't move on that and they would stay where they were, but then it broke. And so they were sort of jiggling. And so that was like, all the rage and they never fixed it.
Erotic jiggling.
Yeah, erotic jiggling.
Is that when they were saying like, oh, if you're moving, like dancing sexually, that is obscene.
Yes.
But still your art.
Art.
Yeah.
Art.
Exactly.
Yeah.
High art.
I mean, that's still a thing today, right? It's like, oh, nude, like on TV or in a gallery. That's art.
fine.
But
I mean, I consider what I did art. Personally. So, I mean, yeah.
I do
like,
art every night.
Yeah.
Legs spread. Oh, actually, I'm not allowed anymore.
Oh.
Been banned from spreading my legs.
What are you even
It's
going
not
to do?
classy, he says.
That's
what my number one move.
Yeah, that's
I was
what they're
fucking
going in there to look for. Yeah. So the premise of this podcast kind of is supposed to be like life lessons that I've learned through the years of shit jobs and just being poor. And things that I learned the hard way. So what I'm trying to do is be like, okay, listen, this is what I learned. This is how I learned it. And this is how you live your life so that you don't have to learn it the hard way. So one of the examples I would give for a lesson that I learned the hard way is that this idea of, oh, well, if you work hard enough or if you work for long enough, you can achieve anything is kind of bollocks in some aspects, because I feel like, yes, sometimes that can apply, but it's very elitist and inaccessible. So there are some jobs, especially now in a cost of living crisis, where it doesn't fucking matter if you worked from dawn to whatever, midnight. You couldn't earn enough for you and your family to live. You just couldn't, especially if you're like living in London. And the whole way people decide what you do based on how their morality. So, I tried to be an actress, quote unquote, the proper way for a decade after Skins, being like, no, if I work hard enough, if I do all these things, if I work as many jobs as I can, that means I can still audition on the side. And even though I don't make any money from that, and even though I'm not booking any of these jobs, I'm still going to make it the proper way. And then Heaven, you came up with the very good idea that I just start a fucking OnlyFans page.
Yeah.
And this was peak pandemic, and that changed my entire life. Now
Still annoyed that I didn't give you my sign-up code.
I know. And we can't do it retroactively
No, we
either,
can't.
so it's very upsetting. But I now am like, for fuck's sake, why did I let like societal pressure and this like patriarchal thing of like, well, it's not respectable, so you can't do that, you need to do it the proper way. Why didn't I do OnlyFans earlier? And I could have started having the money to like not work 24/7. And now I'm actually starting to have success in creative freelancing, but only because I have the time to not be working in a pub for 7 days a week or nannying or as a security guard. So
I was going to say, can't miss that one.
Being punched and spat at.
I mean, who doesn't love that?
I mean, yeah. But
You actually do.
Punched.
Let's not yuck people's yum.
A little slap.
I
feel like you'd take a punch.
I would not take a punch. I'll fucking punch you. You punch me.
So what I'm trying to say is there like a life lesson that either of you have learned that you've been desperate to tell people to be like, don't make the same mistake I did. You don't have to learn the hard way.
I mean, I think I come from probably a space of like every hard, difficult thing in my life personally has led to something better on the other side. So, and that has, I'm not saying like my partner says I'm the luckiest person ever. He's like, literally pandemic, get a hit podcast, car accident, you get something else from me. So like I had a terrible car accident in Vegas. So like I do sort of manage to, kind of make lemons out of lemonade tends to be my way of looking at
lemonade out of lemons.
Californian.
Yeah, but dyslexic as well, did I mention? No, I'm magical.
I make everything
I could just
shit.
put that lemonade, I just put it back in the lemon, carry it around. Anyway, I'm sure that we can just fix that in the edit.
No, it's staying in.
But see, it was funny. It fucked up. It's funny. It's like, that's a perfect example of my life. So, on that level, pretty much every very, 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 very difficult thing in my life has taught me a lesson. And I know that's just something that old people say, but I am an old person now. So there is that. I know that not every hard thing that happens to people is a lesson, and sometimes it's shitty and hard. And so I'm not going to say that like everything happens for a reason, because that's just fucking stupid. But one thing that I would say that stripping has given me is probably just a reality of understanding my marketability, especially in a freelance space. And so sometimes I will teach people, in sort of kink spaces, and I've taught people who wanted to go into being a pro. So they wanted to be a pro stripper, they wanted to be a pro dominatrix, they wanted to do stuff like that, and they want to know how they do stuff. And the first thing I always say to them is like, I will sort of give them an appraisal, a little bit nicer than your lovely manager man, of like, this is your kind of USP. You are trying to market yourself just like maybe you do on your OnlyFans or anything like that. And if you go totally off on a different tangent, you're just not going to really be able to get many people in to spend money with you, right? And so it's given me an ability to kind of separate myself from me and understand myself as a product, which in this day and age, I think is kind of useful, right?
Yeah.
Everybody is trying to hustle and do things online and, be an influencer or whatever the fuck. So you do kind of have to be able to appraise yourself realistically.
Yeah.
And, perfect example of this is I had a woman who came to learn with me, and she was, really cute, and she was quite good at doing stuff, and she wanted to be a pro and a dominatrix. And I was like, great, you should do this. And then about 3 weeks later, she just I was just sort of mentoring her, and she checked in and she said, oh, I've come up with my whole look. And I went, great, send over the pictures. And the only way I can describe the idea that she came up with was that she looked like Conan the Barbarian, and I was like,
is that your feedback?
Well, this isn't a fancy dress party. If you're going to a fancy dress party, do whatever the fuck you want. If you want people to pay you, your niche has suddenly got real small, and the amount of men or people, humans, let's not gender this, out there who are like, you know what I really want today? To be pegged by Conan.
But if you find that person, big money. But
well, maybe not. Maybe that person doesn't have that much money. It's like you're really scaling down your options. And so what I would say is my biggest lesson to you is scale up your options. Don't go too niche. Stick to what you love. All of that kind of stuff as well as an artist. But if you're going to try and put yourself out to the mass market out there, don't Conan it.
Don't Conan it. You
trademark that.
You sometimes Snake God it, don't you? After you've got your fringe cut, you look like Snake God from Conan the Barbarian.
I did. Or Blackadder.
Get him in fringe. Or Blackadder. Yeah.
There's a period.
Or in Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah. There's a period of time, if I don't wear makeup, I seriously look like all of those people combined. And it's like,
I love it. It's personally my favorite version of you.
And if I look a bit, if I'm looking really hard at my phone and then, the front camera comes on, I'm just like, oh God. Anyway, I've still got great tits. That's all I can look down.
There you go.
Just bring your eyes down. We'll be all right.
On a slightly more superficial note,
I'm
going to say, don't get your eyebrows tattooed. Guys.
That is a good one.
That is a good life lesson.
Don't get veneers. You need your teeth. Your teeth are important. And also they can dictate a lot of other aspects of your health, which I've recently come to realize. Don't shave your teeth down and don't tattoo your eyebrows. These things are really hard to, in fact, you can't get them back. It's permanent. So
you are a pirate sometimes when your teeth are
I'm a pirate. I'm currently a pirate. I'm missing a dude.
I like that though. It's good.
And I have red eyebrows, even though I do not have red hair.
They are getting better though.
I had them lasered the other day.
Right,
they're less mauve.
But it's less mauve, less Spock. They were pure Spock.
You have quite a lot to say about
aesthetics. I have a lot to say about aesthetics, and I know it's a slightly superficial note, but
I think
things do matter as well. They are important. I'm covered in tattoos. Probably not a great idea. Probably regret all of them, but
there was a time when you were the only one of us with none.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And
I just went all out. I lost the fucking
all
plot,
or nothing.
And got a giant bee tattooed to my neck. So
I still say if I ever see that man on the street, I'm going to drop kick him.
The one who did the tattoo. Yeah. I was high on tramadol.
Yeah, I will murder him.
Always the best time to get permanent body harm.
Yeah. And I was literally, she called me,
Sunday morning at 10.
I was like, stop!
Have you ever found that, I know certain bars in America, like, will not let you in if you have neck tattoos?
I mean, in Japan as well, it's really
we
frowned
really
upon,
wanna-
and we
we wanna
really
go
want
to
to go to Japan. And I'm slightly upset that I'm going to have to be fully covered up to go into a lot of these spas.
So they're thinking you're like members of the Yakuza.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Apparently
so
they're getting better.
connotations.
And actually, I saw a tattoo artist that I sort of vaguely know who went to
has
Japan. So I'm
recommendations
going
where
to
to go.
ask them
Yeah.
where to go. But yeah.
But yeah, I mean, maybe don't do permanent things to your body. Also, you can get heavy metal poisoning from tattoos. So that's another thing that you've got to think about this stuff. And no tattoo artist really is going to tell you that before they tattoo you. Also, implants. I know you have implants.
I'm
I know
still a
you're
big
really
fan.
happy. I know you're really happy and a big fan. And I totally think, like, do what you want to do to your body.
But I do think about sometimes, like,
just think about what's going to happen 10 years down the line, or what kind of impact could this have on my long-term health. I think those are the things that I would maybe have done slightly different.
It does make sense.
You
not
did
to
a
be
lot
like a
of
grandma about it.
you did a lot of stuff to yourself really young. So I think that, like, the tweakments at super young age, you just don't need to do it.
You don't need it. Don't do filler. No, I mean, I'm not saying don't do filler, but don't do shed tons of filler. I looked like, that meme of the Labrador that's been stung on its nose and it's got an allergic reaction. I fully looked like that.
Well, wasn't there a time where your phone didn't recognize your face, wouldn't unlock?
When we were in Vegas, she went and got so much filler that her phone wouldn't open, and then she couldn't remember her password.
I got $3,500 worth of filler in my face in one sitting.
How many mils?
Does that? Who does that?
You
insane And it was on
person.
offer, so it was like I got extra mils.
Maybe
like I need it. I'm a fucking
there was a
tiny
reason it was on
person with
offer.
a small face. Unnecessary.
She didn't have a small face when she came out of there.
No, big face.
Three times.
I remember the picture. Yeah, I do think, because I've been going through the process of freezing my eggs, and I've been like, oh, okay, I'll try and get rid of some plastics and not have my water in plastic. And then I'm like, I am walking around with like plastic embedded in my body.
And I'm not a doctor, and I'm not saying that everyone's got breast implant illness or whatever, but it is also a thing, and
it's
it
unnatural.
Should be a consideration, at least.
Yeah,
I'm terrified of plastic surgery because I've had a lot. I'm working in the strip industry for 22 years. I've seen some things go really bad, and just think about it as well. Like, you are signing a piece of paper that says that you could die for something that makes you just look a little bit prettier.
Yeah.
So
and not even necessarily.
And not even necessarily. And I've seen things that go wrong for people. Yeah. So I would say think about it. But I have not had any plastic surgery, so I don't feel like I've got any skin in the game, literally at all.
Just do some face yoga.
I don't know. I do a really good face routine. Oh, that's part of my day. I'll add that
face
type
yoga?
No. Just
skincare.
Skincare. Yeah. Every morning, every night, be consistent and stay out of the fucking sun. That is the one thing that my mom told me when I was like, since I was young, I never listened. I should have fucking listened. Stay out of the sun.
We all need vitamin D, and I think that being in the sun at certain times during the day is fine.
But you need like 10 minutes.
But you really don't need much. And I now have a permanent skin disease, melasma. I don't know if anyone else out there. I have a permanent, my boyfriend calls me Sancho because he's South American, so he can slightly get away with saying that. But he calls me Sancho because I have a permanent mustache. And what it is like color pigmentation from basically sitting out in the sun and also being high cortisol stress head.
And some sunbed situations.
And sunbeds, and just all of that.
And Accutane or something, didn't you take that?
And I did Accutane, yeah.
Oh, does that affect it as well?
Well, it makes you super sensitive to sunlight. So just take care of your skin. Do that in your 20s, because otherwise you'll hit your 30s and suddenly be like, oh, I've got melasma and I've got wrinkles and this and that.
But also, as Nan said to me, my 80-year-old dearest family friend, is that there's no such thing as anti-aging. It all catches up with you in the end. So also I'm trying to get to the point of just like loving wrinkles.
And it's not all about looks. I mean, like I've been hyper focused on looks for so many years because of the industry that I'm in, but now I'm starting to not really give that much of a fuck. Also, there's nothing that like a good wig and a load of slap in a dark room can't do to still make you money. So
a clip-on ponytail, the best.
Oh, so I did last
invention
night.
ever. Oh my God.
So good.
So what is next for Buffy and Heaven? Where do you see yourselves both in 10 years, for example?
10 years?
10 years. God. Where do
on
you
a
see?
farm, surrounded by fucking no one.
Chickens.
I thought you were going to be like my loved ones and animals.
No, everyone can fuck off. I'm out. I'm actually going off grid. I'm like preparing at the moment.
Yes,
I'm one of those insane people.
She says this, but like,
Well, I want to have
What's-
investments so I can come back
shut
to
up.
like
Off
capitalism
grid.
if I need
Yeah.
to.
I want to have
Exactly.
like connections
But-
and like connections to the grid, but not
connections
beyond
to the grid if I so need. But honestly, I think I'm going to go so woo-woo that I'm going to join my own cult where it's just me.
Also, I would like to add that Heaven is the type of person who will only use at certain stages will only use organic toilet paper, right? But then will also go off on benders.
Well,
do all the drugs.
We've also because
There's no middle ground.
No, because of her sinus surgery, she can't snort things anymore.
I've been eating drugs.
Yeah, so we
Guys, I've been
Oh
eating
my
drugs.
So we've just been discussing about how she needs a night out, and she was like, "Oh, I can't do cat anymore." I'm like, "I can blow it up your asshole." So,
Well,
Listen,
on the
don't put
weekend,
limitations on yourself.
I
Holly.
went to Sushi Samba and I had to eat cocaine. And let me tell you, it's not a
Had
good.
to.
It's not a good starter.
Well, not with
It's a
sushi.
terrible starter. I had to take all my food home and eat it the next day because I was like, this is disgusting.
Oh my God.
so Planet Organic over here
But
is
yeah.
off the grid, but just once in a while I'll drop in to blow ketamine up her asshole. Sounds like a plan.
That is the life I want for myself, honestly.
I will
Like,
help you achieve that. I'm that friend.
what about you? 10 years time.
10 years time. I mean, what would I like in 10 years time?
Oh, we're going to get married. It'll be long distance. But
Yeah.
we will be married.
Yeah. There's that. So we're going to do
Can
that.
oh no, you can't elaborate probably because of legalities. No,
But not yet.
is this a
yeah.
loophole situation?
No, we're going to get married because we love each other deeply.
Of course.
And we want to be life partners. So yes, we're going to keep that in
It's
the public
documented.
sphere. It's documented that I couldn't picture myself growing old with anyone else.
Oh.
There we go.
Mhm.
Also, we both have old partners, so they're going to die.
Yeah.
So you got to have a
Celine
future
Dioning
plan.
it.
Backup plan.
Yeah, backup plan is just hang out with my friend, which I think is a great backup plan.
Commune.
The commune. I know you're a big fan of that. In fact, our friendship,
Starting the commune.
our
I
friendship
mean-
group on WhatsApp is called The Commune. So-
I have flat shared for
No.
so many years, so I can't.
We aren't sharing bathrooms or kitchens.
Okay.
This is the thing. I've realized
Yeah.
I need to get rich enough not just to buy a large house. I need to buy like a complex of flats
Yeah.
or a cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
I'd love
Because
to
I
have friends
need my
living next
own-
door.
Yeah,
but definitely like not in.
No.
my
I've
house.
realized I can't do that.
So 10 years time, I mean, I would love to be a successful film director, directing all the things that
You
I
will be.
find very interesting, which is about human sexuality and mostly just filth.
Yes.
So I'd like to put more of that into the world.
Mhm.
Obviously, I want our podcast to, develop into whatever it needs to develop into. And I don't know. I wouldn't change anything about my life. I would just have a little bit more money and a bigger house.
Mhm.
That's kind of it. And everything else, I'd be very happy to stay exactly the same as long as I got to do my creative projects. So even if I won the lottery, I wouldn't really change anything about my life right now.
That's the dream.
Mm.
That is the dream.
I think realizing that is also a dream.
Yeah.
Like I've been around so many fucking super rich,
They're
like
the worst.
successful quote unquote people. And I've had the fucking rich boyfriend and everything. And what I came to realize is actually like I'm just pretty happy just as I am. Just
Yeah.
like exploring myself further.
Yeah.
I think more than just like making loads of money and buying this and buying that. And
I mean,
like,
being able to do stuff like where we get to do our podcast
Yeah.
and get to, just even
being
being able
able
to
to
sit
be
here and chat
creative,
with people
yeah.
and being creative, like for me, that is everything. And to just have the solvency to do that
Yeah.
and the support to do those projects where I felt like I didn't have to kind of hustle as hard would be
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah.
But if any of the sort of safety took away any of my creativity, I would sacrifice it for creativity
Yeah.
any day. So, and I always have.
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
I've had lots of people tell me I should be a little bit more commercial. I'm not a very commercial person.
But you lose a bit of your soul.
yeah.
You do this bit of your soul. I mean, at the moment, we're trying to work out what to call our sort of director duoship, and I'm really want to call it cunt vision, which
America will love it.
which apparently we have to be a little bit more clandestine about it because you can't actually make a limited company called Cunt.
Can you
Vision.
just change one of the letters to something?
Michael thought that was a little bit lame, so I'm trying to find out another way of doing it. But in my heart of hearts, I mean, he also wants Cunt Vision, but he's more of a grown up than me.
Could you do a charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talents type thing?
Yeah.
But not that, obviously, because RuPaul will be on your ass.
Indeed. So anyway, I'm trying to put Cunt Vision out in the world
Okay.
and just envision the world through my cunt.
So 10 years' time, Cunt Vision has taken
Cunt
over
Vision
Yeah.
the
and
entertainment
farm.
industry.
Yeah. And also, if anybody's sitting here being offended by the word cunt, I'll fight you on that hill. So It's a great word.
It is a great word.
And
it actually has really great connotations.
Powerful.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
super,
so when I say it, I mean it in a powerful.
Doesn't it mean quaint?
I was going to say it's where the word quaint comes from.
Yeah.
And I know that because in our English lesson, when I was like 13, but prime age where this is a terrible thing to happen, my English teacher gave us all sheets and it had the word cunt crossed out on it, and she tried to like photocopy it so you couldn't see, but if you held it up to the light you could see. And 13-year-old boys were like losing their minds, but it was like an old English text.
But look, you still remember it. So see, cunt, powerful.
Yeah. So where can listeners find you both? Other than the obvious, but tell us the obvious too.
So you can find us obviously on anywhere that you find your podcasts. So on Apple, on Spotify, on Google Play, on our website, which is strippersandtheattic.com. Our social media is
S.I.T.A, S-I.T.A podcast.
Perfect. There we go.
So you can find us anywhere that you would listen to any of your podcasts, like Apple.
Give us a follow. Give us a
follow.
message.
Yeah.
Tell us some really inappropriate and decent stories because we love to hear them.
Absolutely. So
we're on
Apple, we're on Google
notes.
Play, we're on Spotify, we're on strippersandtheattic.com. You can follow us on @S.I.T.A podcast on I think
Twitter and all of that
stuff. And if you DM us, like I actually respond. I will.
I respond if I'm with you.
Yeah. I will voice note you.
Yeah.
Is it you that runs the account?
Notes.
Because I've been chatting to the account often.
Messages are often.
Is it Heaven? Is it Buffy? Is it the person who runs the account?
So the DMs and the responding to any comments is always me.
Nice.
We've had a wonderful pair of girls who have been helping us just post things because we're both useless. But I respond to everything. So
Nice.
if you send me a DM, I will totally respond to that when I'm having my stare at the ceiling time in the mornings. So you will be in bed with me and I will, chat to
I was
you.
just thinking like of wank time in the morning, and
That's
I was like,
not
"Oh
my
wow,
wank time. I don't wank in the morning.
You reply to people."
Yeah, mid wank. I like to multitask as we've discussed, and doing one thing at one time not good enough. No, my wank time is sacred.
You turn your phone off.
You know what? Sometimes
downstairs.
I wank in the bath, but like when it's not full because I have Airbnb, and I have Rupert, and I have and so it's just like if I want to have a wank at a time where people
around.
So I just put a towel down in the bath, and then I just have a wank in the bath because it's like if I squirt everywhere, no big deal.
Yeah.
Because I had with one of those what are they? The suction things like the air pulse
womanizer.
Things. The womanizer. I used it for the first time in bed, thinking, I'll just have like a quiet, relaxed wank. I fucking squirted everywhere, but didn't expect it. So it was just and I'm alone.
Yourself.
I know nobody wants to be in a solo wet patch. That's you want to make somebody else sit in that.
So you get into a dry bath.
So I get into a dry bath, and if there's a disaster, it's fine. But also I can lock the door. Nobody bothers me. It's quite nice. You have to kind of
your
structure
door's
it out.
got glass panes though.
No,
I
you put a
barely want to
towel
take a
over it.
shit in your bathroom.
Like in prison.
You put a towel over it.
Yeah,
you got
there's
it
a
all
towel
sorted.
thing on the
Okay.
back. So no one can see. And yeah, that's if I want to have a daytime wank where nobody bothers me, just go in the bathroom, lock the door.
Nice.
Okay, so if you want to get in touch with Buffy while she's having a daytime dry bath wank, send S.I.T.A podcast a DM.
Why not?
Oh my God.
Thank you so much. But unless Heaven, do you have any separate socials that you want to pitch or other wanking stories?
I think I'm good. I think we should end on that though. I think it was an absolute high. And thank you for being you at all times.
Welcome.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks
I'm
for having
sure
us on.
people
I've
have
loved
learned even more than they already knew about you. And if you want to learn even more horrific stories,
yeah.
you got 3 seasons of Strippers in the
we're
Attic.
coming up 4 seasons.
Yeah,
so
season 4 is coming up very soon. So
Gold mine.
if you want absurd ridiculousness that is much on the vein of what I just said, join us.
Okay, thanks very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening to this episode of Really Good Exposure with me, Megan Prescott. If you like the podcast, please subscribe to make sure you don't miss out on future episodes. And if you're feeling extra generous, give it a nice review. If you want to find me online, my Instagram is @Megatron. That's MEGARTRON. Threads, I'm also Megatron. I'm on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, @Meg_Prescott. And you can find a number of ridiculous videos involving me on my YouTube channel by searching youtube.com/Megan Audition. You can find more information about me and what I'm up to on my website, meganprescott.com. If you have any questions that you'd like me and my guests to try to advise you on, please send them in to megartron@protonmail.com, and I will answer the ones I think I could give the worst advice to. I'm just joking, I give excellent advice. This episode was brought to you by me, Megan Prescott. Recording, editing, and post-production by Adam Grigg. Original music also by Adam Grigg. Thanks again for listening and for all of the really good exposure. A lot of the topics that we talk about on Really Good Exposure relate to women's rights, worker rights, and the sorry state that both of those are in right now. I believe that women have the right to choose what they do with their bodies and how they make their money. And I believe that how we choose to use our bodies should never, ever alleviate perpetrators of violence from accountability. I believe that all workers deserve basic human rights and protections, and I believe that predators are always responsible for violence, not victims. If you agree, please consider donating to National Ugly Mugs. National Ugly Mugs is a pioneering national organisation that provides greater access to justice and protection for sex workers. Sex workers are often targeted by dangerous individuals and face obstacles to reporting, access to services, and police protection. Those who harm sex workers offend against all of us. You can donate to National Ugly Mugs using the link in the show notes, and you can follow National Ugly Mugs on Instagram at National Ugly Mugs. Thank you.